Hey everybody, it is time for something brand new. Today we're making memories, brand new segment that I wanted to share with you. I've got my friend Jackie, and today we're going to talk all about RunDisney. Jackie, big fan of RunDisney?
Very big fan.
Awesome. I love RunDisney. I've really been getting into it. You helped inspire me into a lot of runs. So today we're just going to chat about it, some of the things that we both love about it, and things that we have upcoming soon. So what are your favorite things about RunDisney? Tell us about the history you have with RunDisney, what makes it special for you, and why you want to keep running in the future.
So we'll start with how I kind of got into it. I've always wanted to run a race, but I am not an athlete. I just like to run kind of for fun. And, it was something I had always had as a goal. And then I followed the marathons as they were going on. And then, the princess races when they started up. And it was something I always really wanted to get into, but was just I think like a lot of people, overwhelmed and nervous about my ability to complete these races. And then I had a friend run the princess race in 2016. And after seeing her experience, I decided, okay, well, this will be the year I'm going to register and go for it. And then the medals in 2017 for Princess were Belle themed, and she's my favorite. So that was sort of what made me decide, I'm just going to go all in. And I ran all three races that first time, which was the 5K, the 10K, and the half marathon. And then from there, it's after that first race, I was completely hooked. I knew that this was something that I wanted to do for the rest of my life, and with my family and with my daughters. And I've run with my sisters and I've run with friends. So it was truly love at first sight.
And it goes to show, because I went once, as you know, and I just fell in love with it too. Now, when you were doing the 5 and 10K, was there a lot of training that you did prior to it when you did this?
No. So the first race I did, so I had a baby in 2016. Mm-hmm. And I kind of used it as my goal to get back into running fitness. But I was so ill prepared. I was not ready whatsoever.
For the distance?
No, not at all. But I had trained, but I just, when you get into running, you really start to learn that as, you do these bigger distances, what sneakers are the correct shoe to wear. So I really was so unprepared that first time. And, I kind of finished by the skin of my teeth. The 5K was fine. The 10K, I ran into the dreaded balloon ladies that everyone fears.
Oh no.
I will say they're very nice. They should not be feared. But I was stopping for pictures at every chance, not even thinking I got to keep my 16-minute mile pace.
Right.
The half marathon was that Sunday as well, because they do the races one day after another. And I remember running and just thinking, how am I going to do this? But I think once you get in the races too, there's such an atmosphere of community and people cheering you on that you don't even know. And, getting to run through Magic Kingdom and then backstage through Magic Kingdom, it really helps get you going, and the adrenaline kind of carries you through the miles that you think you can't do.
When I was running through Epcot, I was thinking about this because I saw the path that people take for the half marathon or 10K, and it inspires you further. Because I was just inspired when I went on the Epcot. We went through the backstage of it. We were running all through it. Basically, well, it was just the runners. I'm going to say no one was there, but it was all the runners who were there.
Just a couple thousand people.
Right, just your 1,000 closest friends or so. But you're right. It's this community. It's this you can do it. We're all in it together, and it's something that I love so much. But you know what? You're talking about the balloon ladies. I was thinking about this. I was worried about that for my first run Disney. And I didn't realize that, you can walk a little bit.
Yeah. So they're not there for the 5K, right. At least. I don't know if the balloon ladies are actually volunteers, I believe, who just love to run themselves, and they do it through Disney. I have seen on the 5K that they will pick you up in a little golf cart if you go too slow. But I think what is so appealing about RunDisney, and I say this to everyone, like I said, I'm not a major athlete. I think my fastest mile I've ever run is an 11-minute mile. I'm definitely a slower runner, but it's so geared towards people of all abilities. So, you have those people that are going to finish the half marathon under, 2 hours. And then you have people like me that are creeping up towards 3 hours and finishing on a wing and a prayer.
Right.
But so I feel like the generous amount of time that Disney gives you to complete this race really allows it to be completed by people of all abilities.
Yes.
In February 2020, my daughter at the time was only 6, and she ran her first 5K during the Princess weekend. So, you know, and then you see, like I said, the people that are running the 5K in like 20 minutes, and you think that's not me, and that's not the majority of people, but it does offer people of every ability to participate.
It was funny you mentioned that. I was thinking to myself, when I started, because my first 5K, I didn't submit any time or anything. I just went. There were people who were already done before I started. Like I was just in the queue, like, oh wait, it's been 40 minutes, and those people are all, oh, they're done. Oh, okay. It was hilarious. It was like I didn't realize.
That could almost be, I don't know if you found this. It can be almost a little disheartening.
Yes, it is. It is.
That's the hard part of RunDisney for sure. It's the early morning, and it's kind of waiting that hour time in the corral waiting for your turn, and you see people and you're like, they're done and I'm just starting.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to, I always think like, what's that quote, comparison is the thief of joy or something like that.
Good quote.
Yeah, you can't compare yourself. This is your race. You're running for yourself. Everyone has different goals. I have friends who they could easily run a half marathon under 2 hours, but they're at Disney and they want to enjoy these races and they want to enjoy the different characters.
Right.
And they're some of the last people to finish. So it's like, you can't compare yourself to anyone else on that course.
I love the quote though. Love it. Now, actually thinking of that, I didn't know this. Do you have to submit times for the other races? Because I didn't submit one for 5, and I'm thinking, do you have to submit it for 10 and half?
You know, I'm not sure about the 10K. I know for the half marathon, it's an optional requirement. I have in the past, and really what it does is helps place you in corrals so that they're not placing a bunch of runners with walkers, because it can kind of create an issue of, you know, safety. If someone's trying to run a 10-minute mile and they're behind someone walking a 14-minute mile, well, that creates issues. So that's really the only purpose. I think people like that earlier corral and being able to start earlier. There are times when I was able to be in an earlier corral, and I think I started 35 minutes before the balloon ladies.
Oh my God.
And so in my head, I'm like, that's 35 minutes I can wait for characters. Like that's 35 minutes I can like hang out while running through Cinderella's castle.
Right.
I think that's the big benefit, but it's not a requirement. If you've never run, you know, a 10K or half marathon before, and this is your first, you'll be okay.
Yeah. And you know, one of the things that I love about the first is that you have these pictures to remember it. Like I was thinking to myself, so I wasn't even thinking about the photos when I went. I was like, okay, like we're just gonna have a good time. We're gonna run. I got my phone, got my GoPro. It's gonna be great. The PhotoPass photographers, I'm like, look, I love PhotoPass, love Merrymaker, but it's like extra worth it when they're all just sitting in these little things, getting a perfect shot of you running. And like I've seen these shots from others before, and I love it. I'm like, that's worth PhotoPass and Merrymaker right there.
I'll say some of my most fun races I've done are when I really play with the photographers. I don't like I ran the Tinkerbell Race out in California in 2017, and it was actually the last year they had that there. And I met a girl in the corral, and we decided to run the 10K together. She and I had so much fun posing for these photographers.
That's awesome.
Trying to do like jump shots, trying to do, you know, goofy kind of pictures. You think like you can take these races really seriously and just run and focus on only getting, you know, the time you want, or you can really just enjoy the photos, the characters, the atmosphere. And I think that's sort of the approach I always take.
And that's the thing that I love about it. It's like you don't have to be a dedicated runner to make this happen. You can just go and enjoy it, and it's okay, and you can just have fun. And yeah, I don't mind being in the furthest back corral. As you said, waking up at 3 a.m. is not fun. Like I was just, and that kills you for like 2 days. You're like, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm out. It's like, forget going to the park the rest of the time. I'd go, if you're thinking about traveling, my thing is like go before and then run at the end and then go home. Like call it.
So actually I'm doing that. I'm running the Princess Marathon in February with my family. It's the first time my youngest daughter is finally old enough to run the 5K.
That's awesome.
So it's my 2 daughters, my husband and I, we're all running together. And I planned our trip where we'll enjoy the parks. We'll enjoy, we're going to see the new Cirque du Soleil show and everything. The first half. And then the second half will just be resorts and running the races, because it's It does take a lot out of you.
Yeah.
And I have made the mistake when I did the Tinkerbell Race out in California. That was my first time at Disneyland. I crawled back to the airplane that night. Like I flew home on a red eye the night of the half marathon. And I remember walking through the airport and in my head, I was just like, ow. Because I did the parks full force and I did the races and I, the time difference, I'm East Coast. So it was a big time difference for me. So yeah, don't make that mistake.
Yeah, no, I saw the next day after, even like it was 2 days, I was like, I am done. I'm spent. I'm good. Like maybe if like those dedicated runners, like getting up that early, you're used to it, but that, it throws off your time schedule. So you're like totally thrown off, but it's still worth it. Like still worth it.
You unfortunately too had rain, which I've had the 5K I ran with my daughter in 2020. We had rain and I can tell you, I've had races where the weather's been perfect. And compared to that rainy day, it makes it much harder.
Look, I loved it even with the rain. So it goes to show that there's something there. Like, I love that part.
Yeah.
So, thinking of the cost though, I was thinking to myself, like, it's one of the things that's just like, it's expensive. Like you get $100 per person for the 5K, just as an example, but you get this great medal. Like I love the medals that you get. And they like the first one I got, I have the Castaway Key 5K, but I know you've got some really cool ones.
I would say
you've got, the same one, the Castaway Key 5K.
So I ran this in August of 2017. And let me tell you, I was quite well trained because I was training for the Chicago Marathon at the time. So I was actually the fittest I've ever been. The heat of the Bahamas in August will kill you. Yes. It was brutal. But I know just recently a little birdie told me came out with a different design of these. So if I cruise, I'm hoping this year.
Fingers crossed.
That's one of my number one goals. And because I just love that you can only get that in the Bahamas on Castaway Key.
And it's limited edition, clearly. Like this one is no longer made, but I think it might be like all plastic instead of this rubber. I don't know though.
Yeah, so actually this is a good bit of Disney trivia and history. The 5K medals used to be this material.
Really?
So
at World?
At Disney World and Disneyland, when they first started, adding the 5Ks, probably now like 15 years ago, they were just like this rubber metal. But I think they were shocked at how popular these races were. And I think as they became more popular and expanding and they added more race weekends, they upgraded the medals to be, I don't actually have, I'm trying to look at my medal collection. I don't have any medals from the princess races, for example, used to all just be the same design every single year.
Really? Oh,
and they would change maybe like the gemstone in the middle or like who the princess theme was. Now you see these medals and they have moving parts, things that spin. They really have. I think there's a lot of people, myself included, who run these races for the medals.
Thank you. I knew it wasn't the only one. Well, I love the other parts too, but there's something about the medal. Like you have an achievement that says, I earned that. I made my way. I made this progress and I did that. And that's, and
now that I've done I think I've done 5 or 6 race weekends over the course of like 5 years. It's like, I'm like, okay, I have Bell medal. I have a Bell medal and I have a Tiana one, but I don't have this Merida one. So let me run this race so I can add that. Like you really get into that.
You're going for the medal, not for the race. I love it.
Yeah. And it's like, you do enjoy it with, the atmosphere and the characters, but I do know people where it's like, they live and die by when these medals are released. Yeah. There's people that are either going to be like, I'm not running this race this year, or people like me, and I've done this, where they're like, I'm running this.
Okay, well, it's good to know. I'm all for it. One question though, I'm thinking about, when you were picked up by the balloon ladies, did they give you a medal at the end?
They do. So I've never been picked up. I have encountered them and have run. Run like the wind away from them. I will say, they're such nice women. So if you do see them, don't be afraid. They're very encouraging. You'll usually see a large group of people joining them, trying to keep the pace. But I don't want to encounter them, so I run very far.
Got it.
But if you do get picked up by the balloon ladies, really it's, they call them the parade buses, which is a little sad, but there are buses that will pick you up. They will give you your medal at the end of the race. If you're trying to complete a challenge, for example, I do a lot of the challenges. Where, I like to run the 10K and half marathon, and then you get a special medal. You will not get that special medal.
Okay. But it's only for the challenge, like the 5K, 10K, half.
Yeah. So like if you did the 10K on a Saturday and then the half marathon comes on a Sunday and you feel like you can't do it and you just either choose to drop out or you get picked up because you fell behind, you will still get that half marathon medal. But you will not. Yeah, you will not get like for Princess Weekend, it's the fairy tale challenge medal. You won't get that one.
Okay. Well, hey, good to know. Good to know in case people are thinking about trying it and then, decide that maybe if I still get the medal if I try and don't make it, I feel like it's still worth it.
I mean, I always say just try it. What's the worst that happens? You wake up early and are tired, but you still get to experience, the atmosphere and the characters on course up to, whatever point you can. I actually did a race one year wearing a walking boot because I had broken my foot. And I was like,
was it 5K or 10K?
It was a 5K.
Wow.
So I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. And I did it. So it's like, you never know what you can accomplish. So, I always say, just go for it. There's no shame in not finishing.
I'm right there.
Shame is not starting.
I love it. Great way to think about it. No, so I did the 5K. I'm thinking about the 10K. I'm not there yet. I want to get to a point where I can do it. Does it really take like a lot more training to get to that point where the 10K gets more serious, like that next level of seriousness?
Yes and no. I think it depends what your goals are. If your goal is to be able to run the 10K nonstop, and then also be able to stop at every single character spot, you'll need to train, and you'll need to make sure that your body is at a point where you can go for long stretches running, well below that 16-minute mile. If you're more like me, where it's funny, I stop at every character during the 5K.
Okay, you're like me.
I'll stop even if there's just like a sign. As I get into like the 10K or half marathon, I know that I'm not fast enough to be able to do that. So I definitely have to kind of pick and choose. I think it's a big reason why I enjoy doing Princess Weekend over and over, because it's like every time I go, I can kind of experience something that I'm like, okay, I didn't get to experience this last time.
I get it.
Because I chose something different. So, I think that if you're getting into that 10K, if you're getting into that half marathon, you do need to train. And actually, I always recommend RunDisney is partnered with Jeff Galloway, who is a Olympic marathon champion back from the 70s. I've met him a few times at the expo, and he is super nice and super encouraging. Yeah, so he does the run walk method. He's I believe, I don't want to say the wrong age, but he's older.
Okay.
Yeah, he and his wife are older. They do the run walk method where, it's this kind of theory that you can run for, a minute, 30 seconds, and then you can walk for a minute. And it's supposed to help save your legs. It's supposed to help, for people who are maybe not as athletic as others, like myself. I've done that method. When I ran, it would have been Wine and Dine in 2017. I actually PR'd the half marathon because I stuck with personal record.
Okay.
So it was my fastest half marathon I've ever run.
Okay.
And it was because I did his run walk method.
Okay.
And so RunDisney on their website has training guides by him. And it's really well explained as to like what his method is and how to train. If you're a beginner, he has a guide that you can follow. If you're a little more advanced, you can follow. So, there's definitely training required to do the bigger races, especially when you start wanting to do challenges. Right. Marathon weekend, one of my biggest goals for 2023 is dookhie. And dookhie is the 5K,
tell us. Oh my
10K,
gosh.
Yeah, 5K, 10K, half marathon, and the full marathon from Thursday to Sunday.
And I want to make sure everybody knows it's not just like one race where you combine it all. No, you're running every individual race.
Yeah.
That is,
I think what's hard is like you're getting up at 3 a.m., 4 or 5 days in a row.
Right.
And if you want to experience the parks at the same time, it's definitely a lot on your body.
I feel like you have to, though. You're wearing the medal around the park on that day. Yeah. Everybody wears them. It's a great feeling. Like does. You have to wear it. Like even if you're just going in for a few minutes, just like wear it, take a picture, like have fun.
So I usually bring them to the park. I don't wear them always just because they get heavy, especially if like I've done, a challenge race weekend where I've run every race.
Wearing
but
5 medals.
Yeah, no, I have. Like when I was at California doing the Tinkerbell Race, that's a sister race, or it was a sister race to the Princess Weekend. So it's kind of a big deal, the fact that you've completed that full set of all the Princess medals and all the Tinkerbell medals. I think it would have been like 8 or it was like 10 medals, because then I also got the Coast to Coast medal.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I was trying to get pictures in front of the castle with all of these huge clunky medals. And I mean, walking around with them in my backpack, they were heavy. Like,
Yep.
These medals are not, I mean, the little rubber ones, like the ones from, the kids races
Sure.
or from like Castaway Key, like that is definitely like their life. But these ones are like clunky medals.
They're real. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's no joke.
But I mean, you've got to wear them for the parks because I've had strangers come up to me being like, tell me about this. How was it? Especially after the year I broke my foot and was in the walking boot. Yeah. And people saw me with that medal. I was like a rock star, let me tell you. People were coming up to me being like, how did you do this?
Right. I mean, even for me, I'm thinking to myself, like a 5K with a walking boot, it goes to show that it is truly an inclusive experience. Everyone can participate in this one. You can be, when I went to the 5K, I saw older people, at least in their 80s, walking around just, there was a really nice couple holding hands, walking the 5K, and they're having a great time. And it goes to show that you can participate in this, even if you're not a professional runner. Like, you do not have to be like the person who can do 30 miles in a set period of time. You can just walk and enjoy the parks early in the morning and do this.
Yeah, I mean, especially the 5K, I think it's really inclusive. But I will say, Disney's super inclusive, even with like athletes with disabilities. I've seen they do have the wheelchair athletes in the wheelchair division, and like I've seen people who do the hand cycle bikes.
Yes.
One year, I mean, the most inspirational thing ever, and I wish I had spoken to her, but I saw a woman, a double amputee, and I was slower than she was. But so it's like, I think these races are so geared towards, if this is a bucket list item for you, if this is a goal to run a race, I don't think there's a better place than Disney. I have done races, just locally. I did the Chicago Marathon, and I can tell you my experiences with those have never been as good as what I've had at Disney, because I'm not super fast. There isn't nearly as much crowd support and community like you get to experience. And I think that's the difference between being able to finish and not sometimes. It's like when you have a group of women rallying around you to like take the next step, keep going, it really helps.
And it's not just for one individual. It is literally for everyone. I mean, you couldn't have said it better, because everyone has the opportunity to feel like they are encouraged. It is one of those things that I think brings out, I mean, we've seen what great things the Disney community can do. Like we know how great this community is, but this is like a prime example of it, because everyone's cheering for everyone. You can be first, you can be in the middle, you can be the very last person. They're going to cheer with the same intensity. And it's that inclusivity. It's making everyone feel like they're part of this great community that I love. It reminds me of like I'm not gonna say OG Disney, but like some original feelings that we had, and it's amazing.
I mean, I think that, like, for me, when people ask like, why do you do these races? Because they do cost a bit, especially when you start getting into like the challenges.
Yes.
And, just the cost of traveling to Disney can be a lot. But for me, it's like, it's such a community of like positive, supportive people. I feel like one thing I love is like the first person who finishes a race gets the same treatment as the last person who finishes a race.
Yes, exactly.
It's like the characters are out, there's confetti, there's people cheering you on, the announcers are announcing names. And so it's like, I think that's what I really, really love about Disney. It's not about who's the best, who can be first. It's, if you have a personal goal and you want to accomplish it and you want to do it in a really fun atmosphere with friends and, people that kind of share the same goals as you, it's a really great place.
100%. Now, I gotta know, what's your favorite race? We've heard about a lot of ones you've done. Right. Do you have like a specific, like, there's one that just stands out in your mind, whether it was the characters or the medal? We can talk about medals too, but like there's one, like our Tinkerbell one, Disneyland. What's the number one for you?
So Tinkerbell was a big one for me.
Okay.
And that's because I had never been at Disneyland before. And it was like a dream for me to be there. I'm like a true Walt Disney fan. Like, I love Walt. And so just being there and being able to run through the parks, especially so early when it was so quiet, that was incredible. I met another woman out there who, I mean, we had just met and we ran the whole 10K together, and she was awesome. So that was really great. But I think that felt like I had accomplished something that I had started back in February at Walt Disney World. Okay. And so it was like a month in the making. It was multiple races. And so to be able to finish that half marathon for Tinkerbell weekend was really magical. But I would say one of my absolute favorite races I've ever done was when I ran the 5K in 2020 with my daughter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with the family. That's huge.
Yeah, I mean, it really, like, I love running on my own. Like, I'm fine with it, but having her next to me, and it was raining actually quite a bit, like what you experienced, Michael, where, I mean, it's freezing cold, rainy, windy. Like, I had these feelings of like, is this the right thing for her? Like, she's only 6, she's so young. Oh my God, the joy on her face when she finished, and when I looked back through all the photos, how happy she looked. I mean, it was a Moana medal, and that one is like.
I saw pictures of that one. It looks. I wish I was running at that point. I love the Moana one.
I know, that's what so that was a race. That was the race I ran with a broken foot. Yeah. That was one of those races though where I was like, oh, I don't have a Moana medal. Oh my God, I need a Moana medal.
Yep.
Yeah. Even though I knew like I'd still be in a walking boot, I was like, I need to sign up for this because I'm missing her from my collection.
This is a novice question. How far? Where do you find the pictures of the medals prior to the race? Because I feel like I've missed that. Is it just on the website?
So yes and no. They usually post it on like the Disney parks blog. Sometimes you'll find it if you follow RunDisney on Instagram and Facebook. I am part of one of the biggest RunDisney groups on Facebook. It's just a group of fans that was started, years and years ago, and literally the second they come out, someone's posting it there.
Okay, all right, that's helpful because I was like, before the race actually signs up, because signups are like gone instantly, and you can sign up through a charity, which is awesome, highly recommend it. But like the 5K especially, it's just like 10 seconds, 30 seconds. Even if you're there, sometimes just being in the queue, you were further back in the queue, you don't get it, and I feel like that's something there.
So I've gotten lucky. I've never been denied a race I've wanted to run. I am running through Give Kids the World. This coming February, I'm doing all 3 races during Princess Weekend.
Awesome.
And I did that because I was nervous the races would sell out, and also because I've never run through a charity before, and I thought, okay, this is a good time. I'm, raising money and everything for them. I think it's great. But I've always been lucky. I've gotten every race I've ever wanted. I don't know if it's just from experience. I kind of know, like, I have like multiple devices set up.
Yeah. And you're also there right at the moment. Whatever. I mean, you have to be there at the moment it opens. Yeah. Usually it's 7 in the morning, like that. Something like that.
I think 11, right?
That's right. It's 11. I was thinking something else.
11 East Coast time, like 10 or 11 East Coast time. Yeah. And I will say, I don't know if they didn't do that for this round of races, but in the past, they would have early signups for like annual pass holders, DVC members, Golden Oaks people. And I think the last couple of races, they haven't really had that.
They had the Club Run Disney. They had those sign up, but that is just, I mean, I'm not ready for Club Run Disney yet,
No, and I love RunDisney, as you know, and I support them and everything they do. But I think among the RunDisney community, the people who have run quite a bit, it doesn't feel like maybe that's worth it.
Okay, that's good to know. I mean,
yeah, I'm not sure if I'll ever join. I mean, you do get to do a special virtual race. You do get some benefits and perks of, you automatically get put in an earlier corral, and you get a special warm-up tent, which like on a rainy day, that would be a benefit in itself. But I would rather save that money, for me personally, save that money and be able to run, all the races. So,
right.
Yeah.
There's some. The only reason I wanted it is I saw their jacket. They have that blue with the stripes and this. Like, I like that jacket a lot. That's the reason.
So, Michael, were you dying over? I mean, the RunDisney merch is just.
I saw it, the marathon weekend coming up in super soon here. So it's like, I saw the release of it, and they did a Disney Parks blog, I think, did that.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for it. And that's the problem. Like, as soon as I'm like getting into it, I got RunDisney merch, and it's a whole new line of merch you want to be a part of. Like, it's
so I know you've actually picked me up one once, the little shoes.
That's right. Yes.
One of the shoes. And I've been doing that since like 2016 now. Yeah. So I'm like, I can't not get the shoe.
You have them through 16, like you haven't missed any, right?
So they have them for every race weekend. So I've only had them for the race weekends I've done, but I've never missed them for a race weekend.
Okay.
I've done, and then they do have just like they have them catered towards the race weekend, and then they also have them just for like the year. So like you had picked me up the one from 2021 because I didn't do any races in 2021.
That's right. No. And you can get into the collection super fast. Like they've got a lot of different things, but I think for me anyway, the pins, but it's the metal. It's the metal more than any other piece of merch, and the shirt that they include with your race. That's one of the other things that I love about it. Like you get the shirt included with the price of your race.
So I actually have like a whole drawer full of these shirts. Then I'm like, what do I do with them? Because at this point, I probably have like 30 of them.
Oh my gosh.
But I'm actually, it might be
the princess. I can see it.
Yeah,
yep.
I'm wearing the princess one from, I believe this was 2020. And this is one that I purchased. Like it didn't come with my registration, but I love the merch. I mean, it's like, I think that's when I say like, it's not just running a race.
Right.
It's like going to the expo.
Right.
I love like, you know, the merchandise I love, all the photo opportunities, even just at the expo. You know, there's so much that makes it such a great weekend experience.
100%. Now, actually, I do have another question about it. You have a lot of medals. Do you have one of those special hangers where I know that I've seen them sold before, where it's like it's got like 10 or 12 hooks, and you can like hook all your medals there, and every mile is magic? Do you have one of those?
So I used to.
Okay.
And then we actually renovated our home, and so I had to take it down, and I never put it back up. So it's like such like a running shame. They're all like thrown in a drawer right now.
No.
By my treadmill, because I'm like, I need to get like another like metal hanger and kind of display them, because I did have them nicely displayed before we renovated, but I mean, we fully gutted it, so they had to come down.
Right.
But yeah, I've often thought, I've seen a lot of great creative ways people have displayed these. Not just on that, but like I just recently saw online someone who like got like a ladder, like a fancy like decorative ladder, and she like hung them on each rung. That's
so cool. But you gotta have like 100 for that though.
Well, so I'm considering it by my treadmill. I do have like a little space, and it's in an area that like people see. So I'm like, well, this would look nice. So I need to figure it out, because right now it's just in a drawer.
Okay. All right. Now it's good to know.
What about you? How are you displaying?
I got one of those. Every mile is magic. I got one of those, and now I've just been hanging them up. And you know, I don't have nearly as many as most people. You know, I've got Castaway Key. I've got the 5K, but now I'm signed up for many more. And actually, it brought up another thought for me. Have you ever done one of the races? Because a lot of them are at 3 a.m., but there are some of them, April Surprise, that are like 10 p.m. Have you done one of those before?
I have not, and that's because they used to have race weekends that were like that. I believe the back in the day, I mean, this is early, probably like 2005 or whatever, when they had the wine and dine, it would be a nighttime race. And then they also would do, someone correct, I know there's gonna be someone in the community that's like, you're wrong, but the Tower of Terror 10 miler they used to have.
I saw that it was coming up for April Surprise. Yeah,
so they used to have it. That's another race that they brought back that was super popular. I believe that one was at night. When I started in RunDisney, they had switched everything to the early start of 3 a.m. time. So I've never done like an overnight one, which I think would be really fun.
To me, it's even more appealing, because it's like, I don't mind staying up a little later, you know, but like in New Year's is a good example. It's like, oh, up till midnight, go to sleep at 1, sleep in a little bit, and then your time clock resets. You wake up at 3 a.m., it throws you off for, a good 2-3 days. It's like, that's
I mean, and not just wake up at 3 a.m., wake up at 3 a.m. and do like 5K.
Right. It's like, and then do stuff. Like I can wake up at 3 a.m., watch TV. Okay. Difference when you actually run around the parks.
Yeah. And we always joke, like among the community, it's not a 5K. It's really like maybe like a 6 or 7K, because you're walking from the parking lot. You're walking to the corral.
It's true.
When the race is done, you have to walk back out. So I mean, there is quite a bit of that kind of like walk. I mean, I don't know. So I'm curious to run Princess this year to see how it's changed after, they have brought the races back. But they used to have us walk almost 3/4 of a mile just to the corral.
Are you serious? Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it worked for me, because that would be my warm up. So
that makes sense.
Use that as a way to like warm up my muscles. I would do my stretches. I would do everything like that. But yeah, so there is a little bit more walking than just the actual race, but it's not too bad. It's okay.
No, not too bad. Now, actually, one of the other things I've been thinking about is a costume. At some point, I do want to get like a costume for running, and I was thinking about it for some coming runs, but now I'm still trying to like get into it, get used to all the running, all that. I'm not there yet, but eventually I want to wear a costume. Have you worn one before? Thoughts on it?
So let me tell you, some of these people that show up in costumes
it puts very not so scary to shame right there.
I don't want to say her name out loud, but there is a woman in the RunDisney group I'm a part of.
Sure.
Who she'll know who she is if she watches this. I'll send it to her. I was running the Princess Half Marathon dying, and I'm like, is that Ursula in front of me? I mean, it was literally Ursula with the tentacles, and she had the hair, and I was like how? I can barely walk. I mean, there's so many creative people out there, and it's such a huge part of what I enjoy. Myself, I get so nervous and anxious about like, okay, I got to get these miles done. I have not done full-blown costume. What I usually do is like, one year I dressed up kind of like as a Belle cosplay. So like I did like the blue pants, a yellow Belle shirt, and then I had like my hair done up like how she does and stuff.
Right. So it's like
a lot of that as well. My daughters want to go all out for February and like dress up as their favorite princesses and stuff. We might actually pull out like the fancy like tutu kind of running skirts and
still. I mean, look, that's like it's kind of cosplaying. You got a little bit in there. I feel like as long as you're part of it in some way. Like I love the Remy hat and all that for, you know, before Remy opened. Remember those? Like, and one of my favorites that I've seen in pictures, and I don't know who it is. I'm sure there's a guy. He was carrying Yzma as one of the heroes.
Oh, I saw that.
It's the icon. There's like an iconic one. It's like, I want that costume. Like, I don't care. I want that costume.
Yeah, my favorite I've ever seen was this woman, and she was actually like interviewed before the race. So we all saw her like on the big screen. She was wearing like a taco on her head in a Belle dress. And at first I was like, she was Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. Oh my gosh, that is very creative.
I also love, there's the princess men that are like well known, and it's this group of like 5 or 6 guys. And I mean, they're all married, and I think they run with their wives and their girlfriends and stuff. They all dress up as their favorite princesses.
That's
and like
so
when
fun.
I say dress up, it's like they wear the full princess dress.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's like, I think I read a rumor this year that they were not going to be there this coming year because of what, I mean, obviously there's a lot going on. So,
sure,
but
there
are certain people in the community who know they do all the races and they dress up. I mean, their costumes are phenomenal.
There's something to be happy about the whole time. Actually, I was thinking about your daughters. You said you're running with them. They did the 5K. We know about that. Well, there are kids races too. So I'm thinking to myself, like, if you had what do you think about kids races? Do you think it's just better off that they run as a family?
Yeah. So they used to have kid races since COVID and, you know, global pandemic. They actually have not brought them back. And I think that's a smart decision on RunDisney's part. You know, a lot of kids crushed into one small area will not be great. But how they used to do it, my daughter has run, I think 3 or 4, and my youngest ran, I think 2 or 3. They would actually have it at the ESPN Wide World of Sports. Is that what it's called?
Yep.
And they would do it the day of the 10K. So I would usually run the 10K, quickly get back to the hotel, shower, and then we would head over there and they would run in their age group. So they would have the babies who would crawl.
And babies, really?
Yeah. So you could, and I always regret not signing my daughters up when they were babies. I mean, it's literally like less than probably 6 feet that they would have the babies crawl.
Right.
And then, you know, they do the younger age groups. Like my daughters always did it when they were like 2 or 3 years old. Mm-hmm. And then they do also have the 1 miler that was for kids who are maybe like 10 or 12 years old. And they do get medals and they have their own design on them and everything. Wow. But I think that, like I said, I think they're putting that on hold for now. It makes sense. No, it makes sense. 100%. Yeah, but I mean, it is a super fun day. I will say, the last time we did it, it was so brutally hot, and that they do it on the track there, and they also do it in like the baseball field, is where the 1 miler kind of runs. It is, if it's a hot day, it's pretty brutal. It's definitely tough. But I mean, they hand out like free bananas, free applesauce packets, and I think it's a really fun way for kids to like experience it. Once they do turn 5, they can participate in the 5K. There are age limits for each race. 5K is 5. I think the 10K is like 10 or 12 years old. It might be 14. And then I believe half marathon and up, you have to be 18 and older. 18.
I mean, it makes sense. It does make sense.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, go ahead, yeah, please.
Oh no, I was saying, so this is the first year my youngest is 6. It's going to be 6. So we can finally all just run together. And, you know, I think even if they had the kid races, we might have skipped it this year because we can do the 5K.
I mean, when everybody can do it together, I feel like that's where it's at. 100%.
Yeah.
Now I have a goal, and I know that this might be reaching, and it's going to be a couple of years in the future, I'm sure, but I know you've heard of it. It's the Disney Cruise Challenge with the RunDisney.
Yes.
Yeah. What's the name of that?
That's a goal of mine too.
How does that work? You have to run all the races. I've already forgotten it. You run all the races at Disney, and then you run the 5K at Castaway Key?
Yeah, so this happens in January during Marathon Weekend. So my goal for 2023 is to run all the races during Marathon Weekend.
Which is the Dopey Challenge.
Yeah, the Dopey Challenge.
Okay.
So I believe for it's called the Castaway Key Challenge. You have to run at either the half marathon or marathon in January.
Okay.
And then there is a specific cruise you have to take. So it's not just like you take some random cruise.
Right.
It's like there's one that is designated as the challenge, and then you get to do the Castaway Key. You get the special Castaway Key Challenge medal, which is usually quite beautiful.
And I've seen pictures of it. And to me, that's one of the big reasons why I want to do it, like that medal. But so you don't have to do all the races. It's just like half or full.
Yeah,
We'll look into it.
I'm like 99% sure I'm right on this. And the reason why is because one of my big goals, they always had a race weekend starting probably like 3 or 4 years ago in Paris. And so they would do, and I mean, their mileage is so different than ours because they go by kilometers. So I'm totally wrong. But basically the equivalent of like a 5K, 10K and a half marathon. And so if you ran a half marathon in the United States at either Disney World or Disneyland, and you ran the half marathon in Paris, you would get what's called the Castle to Chateau.
Wow.
And it was a special medal. That was like on my bucket list. But they haven't brought the races back to Paris yet.
Okay.
I do think they were popular enough where they will come back someday. Because right before all the closures and shutdown, they had actually added a second race weekend in Paris.
Really? Okay. See.
So I suspect that we're going to see them come back. And I'm going for that Castle to Chateau challenge.
That sounds amazing.
Or challenge medal.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah, I can actually show you one of my favorite medals. This was the Coast to Coast. And so I actually have 2. But
oh my gosh, I love them. So
this is because I ran a half marathon at Disney World and a half marathon at Disneyland. I have the pink version because I ran the Princess Half Marathon and the Tinkerbell Half Marathon.
And the fact that you can only get it if you run both, not just one. Like, yeah, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's the partner statue. I mean, this was like, I think that's why those races meant so much to me, because when I finished Tinkerbell, I got both of these on top of the challenge medal, on top of the half marathon. And I was walking around the park.
It's just like,
it's like the clinging.
And TSA was having a great time with you on your way back. I'm sure it's like, excuse me, like what happened here? Like you got a ton of medal.
This is my number one traveling tip. Put all your medals in a plastic bag in your carry-on and pull them out for TSA. Because I made the mistake of just throwing them in the bottom of my bag, and you get like searched because it's a medal and they think, what is this? They have no idea about it.
It's just a solid hunk of metal. Like, what are you doing with that? Right.
But so if you pull them out and you say, I ran some races, usually you get a lot of people being like, that's awesome. Like, congrats, let me look at them. But it just helps you get through TSA faster.
Yeah. Okay. That's a big thing when you're not staying here. Yeah. 100% on that. Oh my gosh. I'm super excited. I'm super excited for all the running in the future. I mean, eventually I'll get to a point where I can run the 10K, but still sticking with 5s for now. And I'll keep training and we'll do that cruise together sometime and we'll all run Disney. That would be cool. That would be really cool.
Yeah. I bet you could do the 10K now. I have a lot of faith you'd be able to, but I always say, you want to enjoy it too.
Right.
You don't want to, I mean, I've done half marathons. Actually, when I ran the marathon in Chicago, which was not RunDisney, but I hated every second of it.
Oh gosh.
I was running being like, I'm never doing this again. You don't want to get to that point. You know, like you want to enjoy these races and enjoy the characters, but I bet you're pretty close to being able to do that.
I will continue training, and I'm thinking maybe by the time you're running your Dopey challenge, I'll maybe run the 10K, something like that, or you know.
Or you can just sign up for Dopey with me. We'll run it together. When I'm having a meltdown at mile 18, you could just push me along.
Or I'll be the guy in the stands, you know, waving at you from Cinderella Castle because I'm not running it. Oh, I love it. It's a ton of fun. There's no doubt about it. It's something for the whole family. It's something to smile about all the time. And it's something to look forward to. It's something different. If you haven't, like at Disney, we go to Disney for years. We're part of it. And then you are part of these runs and it's like opens up these new doors for you, which I really love.
It really does. And, you know, I've done a couple of Disney tours now. And you do get to experience a lot of backstage magic with those, and it's exciting and wonderful. But there's just something so special about doing it during RunDisney that you get to see these backstage areas. You get to see like the forbidden Disney areas. That is just like, you know, now so one of my favorite races is Princess because you get to run under the parking toll area for Magic Kingdom.
Really? Okay. All right.
And so like now every time I drive underneath there, I'm like, I have run this
It's like, I was right there. I ran right there.
I'm like, I ran right here, and I mean, it's such a, I don't think you realize what a beautiful structure it is until you really can, like, I mean, not stop, but usually I pull off to the side and really take a nice photo, which that's my recommendation too. If you're a new runner, learn the running etiquette. You know, slow runners stay to the right, faster runners go to, it's similar to like the driving rules. But yeah, I love that I can be like, I ran this road that I'm now driving in a car.
Yeah, that's so cool. And the behind the scenes, I mean, I ran around Remy. Like, it had just opened, and I'm running around the outside where all the construction was. And it was just those moments are pretty cool, because you can be like, oh, I know what's beyond that gate over there at the back of France. It's where I ran, you know? Yeah, it's amazing. It's really amazing. Yeah, it's awesome. So much to love about RunDisney. Got to tell you, Jackie, this was a lot of fun. I mean, I'm encouraged. Yeah. I'm excited for RunDisney now and in the future, and I'm ready for more races. I hope that at some point we all can run the dopey, challenge, but that might be a couple years in the future. You never know. So.
Listen, I got you to do the 5K.
You did. You did.
I'm going to get you to do a 10K next. I'll get you a half marathon. We'll get you the challenges.
I wouldn't be shocked. We'll get there at some point. Anyway, This was a ton of fun. Jackie, thank you again for talking to us about RunDisney. It's one of those memories that I know a lot of us love and want to make more of in the future, but so many more to happen in the future. So many more races coming, so many challenges to achieve, so many medals to get. So,
yeah.
the important part. All right. Thanks everybody for watching, for being a part of it. It means a lot to share it with you. Until next time, have a magical day and keep on running. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.